15 spine-chilling true stories from Reddit, forbidden terrors revealed in haunting confessions. Emily could feel the oppressive silence as she stepped into the crumbling hospital for her graveyard shift. Flickering lights cast eerie shadows on walls that held stories no one dared to share. The chilling rustle of old charts lingered in the air like whispers of lost souls. There was something about this place, once a beacon of hope, now a prison of despair. Heart racing, she thought of the rumors swirling through the staff about patients vanishing without a trace. She bit her lip, anxiety creeping in like a hungry beast. Late nights were always the worst. Tom, her overly frantic neighbor, sent her texts filled with warnings about the malevolent spirits he claimed roamed the hospital. "Be careful, Em. They're watching you," his messages read, eyes wild with fear. It felt absurd, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Another nurse murmured hushed tales about shadows lurking in dark corners, tightening the knot of dread in her stomach. On this particular night, the wind howled outside like a wolf searching for prey. Emily walked past empty rooms, skin prickling with the sensation of unseen eyes. Then it happened. A door she never noticed before stood ajar, beckoning her in with an unsettling draft. Driven by a mix of curiosity and dread, she pushed it open. Gritting her teeth against the thrumming in her chest, she stepped inside. Dust danced in the beam of her flashlight, landing on old photographs pinned to the wall. As she leaned closer, the distorted faces leered back, their expressions twisted with unfathomable suffering. A gut-wrenching truth hit her like a hammer. These were not mere relics, they were pieces of a horrifying puzzle of abuse hidden behind the sterile facade of care. Before she could fully process what she saw, Tom's voice rang in her ear, "Don't trust them, Emily. It's worse than you think." Panic surged through her, every hair on her body standing on end. She was not just up against the ghosts of this place but a threat that lived and breathed. Each night, Emily felt the shadows tighten around her, the fear palpable in every flicker of the inadequate hospital lights. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The power flickered and died, plunging her into utter darkness. Her heart thundered in her chest as she gripped her flickering flashlight, the beam revealing only a slice of the world around her. Fear settled cold in her gut as she imagined the whispers of her coworkers, the dodgy glances they exchanged behind her back. A sense of betrayal washed over her, the very community she relied on was slipping into chaos. Then she heard the creak of a door. It was faint, yet it echoed like thunder in the stillness. She heard a voice. It was low and chilling, conspiring secrets that twisted her stomach. Without knowing why, she approached the door, breath catching in her throat like a rabbit cornered by a predator. Dread crawled over her skin, and as she peered into the dark room, she realized she was not alone. The oppressive environment felt alive, and it was hungry. Who could she trust when all her foundations were crumbling? And what lay hidden behind that door, shrouded in darkness, waiting for her to step too close? The darkness swallowed her whole, pulling her into its icy embrace. Emily's breath quickened, a frantic rhythm that matched the pounding of her heart. The voice was unmistakably closer now, swirling around her like a sinister fog. Each word sent shards of ice through her veins, gripping her with an urgency that fought against instinct. She wanted to flee, to bolt from this haunted place, yet something unseen tethered her feet to the ground. "Don't be afraid," the voice whispered, smooth yet warped, as if it were forged from 1,000 broken murmurs blending into one sinister entity. Goosebumps erupted on her arms as she stood frozen, caught between the instinct to flee and a deep-seated curiosity that gnawed at her mind. What could be lurking just beyond the threshold? The flashlight flickered again, weak and wavering. Shadows twisted and coiled around her, expanding and contracting like a beast preparing to pounce. She was gripped by fear so tangible she could almost taste it, metallic and bitter. With a deep breath, she took a shaky step forward, the beam of light cutting through the dark just enough to reveal the doorway's grim entrance. "Help me," the voice pleaded, dripping with desperation. It echoed and fell silent, leaving a haunting emptiness in its wake. Emily's resolve folded under the weight of the plea. Against all reason, she stepped into the darkness. Inside, the air was stale, thick with an oppressive presence. Her light illuminated peeling wallpaper, stained with age and sorrow. The whispers returned, a cacophony of confusion and despair, feral echoes that grazed her mind. "What have they done? Who are you?" they gasped, an unending cycle of torment filling the air. As she ventured deeper, the room revealed its true atrocities. Rusty gurneys lined the walls, their wheels twisted as if resisting the weight of their memories. Sparse flickers of light revealed remnants of patience long forgotten, each crumpled chart a testament to the horrors of neglect. Emily stumbled, pulse racing, fear chasing her heartbeat as she stepped closer to a gurney that seemed eerily familiar. A chilling realization pierced through her: this room held ghosts bound by guilt and sorrow. Faces twisted with pain appeared under the flashlight's beam, a fleeting glimpse before they disappeared back into the shadows. The memories, trapped forever, clung to her sanity. "Emily," the chilling voice sang again, pulling her deeper into its web. She didn't listen. They never listen. Was it a threat? A warning? Chills raced down her spine. Emily thought of the patients who had vanished. Were they trapped here too? Did their souls linger, unable to break free from the chains of despair? Driven by fear and urgency, she turned to leave, her heart hammering against her ribcage. As she rushed to the door, dark shapes flitted in her peripheral vision. She was not just a spectator, she was part of the nightmare unfolding around her. Suddenly, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Emily's breath hitched in her throat. The shadows surged forward, hungry and vengeful, as the voice became a shriek of anger. "Stay with us, you'll never escape." She stumbled back against the wall, desperate and panicked as the darkness moved closer. Emily was trapped, ensnared by the very spirits she had sought to understand. Would she become another lost echo, another memory in this hell? In her heart, she knew there was no path back. Only an abyss of terror lay ahead, waiting to consume her completely. What awaited her in the darkness? And would she risk everything to escape the clutches of this twisted fate? The shadows pressed in tightly, suffocating her with their malevolence. Emily's breath came in ragged gasps as she fought against the gripping terror. She searched the walls, looking for something, anything that might give her hope. But the oppressive silence only deepened her despair, her heartbeat pounding in her ears like a frantic war drum. "Help," she whispered, her voice shaky as it trembled in the dark. It felt ridiculous, pitiful, yet a desperate instinct compelled her to call out. "Is anyone there?" A chilling laugh echoed around her, mocking her plea, wrapping around her like barbed wire. "Why would they help you?" The voice hissed, layers of voices mixing into a twisted melody that sent shudders through her. "You came for them, remember? You wanted to know, and she did." The truth swirled in her mind like a growing storm. What had happened here? The faces she glimpsed earlier tormented her. Each one trapped by despair, their silent screams clawing at her psyche. Emily steeled herself, urging her feet forward against the icy dread that settled around her like a shroud. She had to find the answers. There was no turning back. The whispers intensified, rising to a fever pitch, each word a serrated knife slicing through the fear. "Listen, you must listen." Trembling, she moved deeper into the room, the flashlight flickering to life with a momentary gleam. Her trembling hands guided the beam over the peeling wallpaper, where faded images of patients danced in grotesque caricature. They looked like lost souls, gazing helplessly back at her, begging for freedom. Suddenly, a reflection caught her eye: a large mirror shrouded in dust, framed in tarnished gold. It seemed out of place in this forsaken room. She inched toward it, the whispers urging her on, wrapping around her mind. She hesitated, but the desire to look was unbearable. What if she could see the truth? With each step, the air thickened, the weight of countless souls pressing down upon her. She reached for the mirror, wiping the dust away with trembling fingers. For an instant, nothing happened. Then, as if her touch awakened something sinister, the surface rippled like water. The reflection distorted, revealing tortured faces screaming in silent agony, their mouths stretched in terror while their eyes told stories of betrayal and despair. Emily stumbled back, terrified. The reflection flickered between the living and the long-departed, a haunting reminder of what lay ahead if she faltered. The voice returned, sultry and intoxicating, "Join us, Emily, be one of us. You cannot escape your fate." Panic surged anew. The door bore down on her, locked tight against her escape. Darkness writhed around her legs, tugging insistently as if it were alive. The temperature dropped, and she could see her breath forming a cloud, a stark reminder that she was very much alive in this nightmare. "Get away from me!" she shouted, swinging the flashlight wildly, the beam failing to pierce the suffocating veil of shadows. But her defiance only incited the darkness. It roared in anger, and the air grew heavy. Mind buckling under invisible pressure, Emily felt her breath quicken, each gasp a battle for air against the encroaching gloom. Then, she saw a flicker of light at the corner of her eye. A new presence? Or was this just another cruel trick? Driven by an instinct to survive, she lunged for it, desperate to grasp onto whatever hope it represented. But as she approached, the whispers crescendoed into a cacophony of agony, the dark shapes lunging at her, a tidal wave of sorrow crashing down upon her. For a brief moment, Emily felt weightless, suspended between worlds. Would the light be her salvation or lead her deeper into hell? As she reached out, the floor seemed to dissolve beneath her, and darkness enveloped her, pulling her down. What new horrors would she uncover as she slipped further into this abyss? Would she find a way back, or was this the end of her story? Emily plummeted, the weightless sensation morphing into a harrowing freefall as shadows twisted around her, snatching at her limbs. Struggling, she clawed at the darkness, but it closed in like a smothering blanket, wrapping tighter with each heartbeat. The cacophony of tortured whispers roared louder, erupting into shrieks that fused with her rising panic. "Please, let me go," she gasped, feeling the chill seep deeper into her bones. The abyss beneath her was endless, yet strangely familiar, conjuring memories of long-buried fears. Was this what awaited her? An old nightmare reborn? Abruptly, she landed with a bone-jarring thud, rolling onto cold, damp ground. The air was stale, thick with the stench of mold, and a faint light flickered weakly ahead, casting eerie shadows against the jagged walls. Heart pounding, Emily pushed herself up, scanning her surroundings. The dim light illuminated what appeared to be a corridor, lined with more mirrors, each one more twisted than the last. "Where am I?" she murmured, dread pooling in her stomach. The whispers had quieted, replaced by an unsettling silence that crept under her skin. She hesitated, every instinct urging her to flee, yet her curiosity chained her to the spot. With a trembling hand, she approached the nearest mirror. As she neared, her pulse quickened, an inexplicable connection prickled against her skin. She leaned in closer, and the reflection shimmered, revealing a scene from the past hers. "Emily," a voice echoed softly. It was a child, no older than 8, with wide, innocent eyes. The girl stared back, silently pleading. Glaring at the reflection, Emily recognized herself. But how was this possible? "You have to help me," the child cried, her mouth forming the words, though soundless screams echoed around them. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the mirror began to distort again, the edges curling like frayed paper. "No. Don't go," Emily screamed, panic tightening its vice around her chest. The child's face twisted, morphing into a mask of agony before vanishing entirely, leaving Emily reeling. Suddenly, the flickering light surged, illuminating a door at the end of the corridor. Emily's heart raced. Could it be an exit? The child beckoned her to follow, and despite the terror gnawing at her, she moved toward it, desperation fueling her steps. "Stay away!" a voice howled from behind, sounding dreadfully familiar. Chills coursed through her as she turned to face the source. Shadows coalesced into human forms, faces distorted in despair, their eyes locked onto her with an intensity that froze her in place. They were trapped, just like the faces in the mirror. Fight or flight. Panic surged through her veins. They couldn't take her too. Gulping down her fear, she sprinted toward the door, the shadows lunging after her, hungry for the warmth of living flesh. As she reached for the handle, the door rattled violently in response. The spirits screamed, their mouths opening wide in a chorus of wails that clawed at her very sanity. With a firm yank, she flung open the door and stepped across the threshold, heart racing as reality shifted, a new chamber awaiting her. Warmth enveloped her, but she could sense it wasn't safe. The laughter returned, colder now, echoing her uncertainty. Welcome back, Emily. What horrors would lay in this new space? As she took a breath, she sensed a sinister presence looming, ready to pull her back into the embrace of darkness. Would this path lead to salvation or further into the abyss? Fear knotted in her stomach as she prepared herself for whatever awaited her next. The air was thick with a feral energy, buzzing as if the chamber itself were alive. Emily squinted into the gloom, searching for any sign of safety. Shadows twisted on the walls, writhing like serpents waiting to strike. The laughter echoed again, chilling her to the bone, a sound that felt both familiar and utterly foreign. Turn back, a voice hissed from the corner, sharp and biting. She flinched, her heart hammering in her chest. Did she dare investigate? Gritting her teeth, she took a hesitant step forward, drawn by a morbid curiosity that urged her onward. Each footfall echoed hollowly in the expanse, the sound swallowed by the impending dread in the air. Emboldened by fear, she ventured deeper. The warmth around her pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Suddenly, she stopped. A glimmer caught her eye, something on the floor. She crouched down, fingers trembling as she brushed away dust. It was a necklace, one she recognized. A gold locket, her mother's locket, lost years ago. Emily, the voice was mournful, dripping with sorrow. Come play with us. Her heart plummeted. She spun around, desperate to locate the source. The shadows danced and swirled behind her, forming the outlines of children laughing a grotesque mockery. She clenched the locket in her palm, its cold metal grounding her momentarily. No, she whispered defiantly. You're not real. But doubt clawed at her. The children's eyes flickered with dark mischief, their mouths twisted in unholy grins. Don't you want to join us? One child asked, taking a step forward, their pale face gleaming in the dim light. We've been waiting. Get away from me. Emily shouted, scrambling backward. The laughter crescendoed, a high-pitched cacophony that pierced through her defenses. Memories of her own childhood seeped through, sweet at first, then souring her insides like spoiled milk. Suddenly, the shadows retreated slightly, revealing a path cloaked in darkness to her left. It pulsed like a wound, beckoning her closer. The laughter faded. Silence stretched thin, taut as a drawn bow. With her heart thrumming like a trapped bird, Emily turned, sprinting toward the darkened path. The air grew colder, palpable with the weight of unseen eyes watching her every move. She could feel the darkness curling around her, seeking to drag her back to despair. As she charged forward, a wall of cold suddenly blocked her path, a tall figure emerging from the blackness. It was faceless, but its presence suffocated her, a pressure building in her chest. Turn back, it whispered, though the words rolled over her like fog, heavy and disorienting. You have no idea what lies beyond. Emily's breath quickened, panic threatening to swallow her whole. No. I won. With one last burst of energy, she pushed past the figure and into the darkness. Free-falling once more, she screamed, hoping to shatter the silence, to break free from this endless nightmare. The world dissolved around her and she landed with a jarring thud, gasping for breath. Darkness enveloped her again, but instead of the familiar cold, a fiery warmth pulsed through her veins. It echoed the laughter from before, now infused with malevolence. Welcome, it hissed, to your true home. Emily's heart raced, and dread twisted her insides. No, not again. Rethink your choices, Emily. Something shifted in the darkness, wrapping around her like a vice. She could almost hear the whispers growing restless, demanding her attention. What would she uncover next? Would she find a way out, or was she destined to unravel deeper into the madness? The path ahead was uncertain, and Emily's resolve faltered. One question remained: was it too late to turn back? The warmth engulfing Emily twisted into a suffocating embrace, constricting around her chest like a noose. The laughter echoed again, now a sinister melody that slithered into her thoughts, binding her with fear. Welcome to your true home, the words reverberated, teasing memories she wasn't ready to face. She blinked, trying to shake off the haze of dark enchantment that threatened to consume her. In the thick shadows, shapes writhed and contorted, indistinct figures drawing closer. The fear inside her swelled, filling her up until she felt she might burst. Who are you? She cried, her voice cracking, echoing eerily in the void. What do you want from me? The laughter shifted, an almost playful sound. We want you to stay, whispered a chorus of voices, all overlapping, creating a haunting symphony of despair that sent chills racing down her spine. You belong with us now. Emily pressed her back against the cold surface behind her, desperately searching for a way out. Her heart pounded in her ears, drowning out the hypnotic laughter that twisted around her. She remembered her mother's locket, its intimate connection to safety, and ran her fingertips over the cool metal still clutched in her hand. The space around her seemed to breathe, pulsing as if alive. A dark mist shimmered, momentarily revealing the faces of children staring hungrily, their eyes glowing. Outstretched hands begged for her attention, desperate for camaraderie in their endless loop of the damned. No. She recoiled. I want to join you. I want to go home. Home. The laughter increased, stretching into high-pitched howls. This is your home now, Emily. Don't you remember? Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath her, cracking open in a swirl of darkness that threatened to suck her down. Panic surged through her veins. She wasn't ready to fall into despair. With a scream, she clutched the locket, feeling its chill ground her in the moment. As if in response, the swarming shadows paused, momentarily stilling. Emily saw it then, a flicker of light, a promise, a way out. It blinked in and out, teasing her against the darkness. Fueled by desperation, she bolted toward the light. The children shrieked in protest, their laughter morphing into anguished wails. She could hear them scraping against the edges of reality, claws outstretched, yearning to pull her back. Come play with us. The chorus cried, their voices distorted, haunting. For a split second, she hesitated. Would it be easier to give in? To melt into their twisted camaraderie and escape the relentless dread? Shaking her head vigorously, she pressed on, the light brightening slightly as she approached. It breathed hope into her rapidly dwindling courage. The shadows clawed at her, fingers icy and desperate, but she pressed through with every ounce of strength she had left. Just as she reached for the glowing figure, a cold hand grasped her ankle, yanking her down to the ground. She fell hard, darkness swallowing her once more. Help us, it whispered, the dull ache of many lost voices flooding her ears. Help us or be lost forever. Emily gasped, the panic rising like a tide. She was tangled in voices, shadows, and despair. She fought back, but the shadows wrapped around her tighter. Just as her breaths became shallow and frantic, she glimpsed a familiar face in the darkness, her mother. Emily, it's time to come home. Her heart seized. Was this real? Was hope lying to her again? And then, the light flickered once more, strong and defiantly blinding. Would she grasp it, or would she fall into the abyss of longing and deceit, eternally beckoned to turn back? The true horror was revealing itself, and Emily had to decide. Would she take the leap or succumb to the darkness? The brightness enveloped Emily, bursting forth like a shockwave, and she felt an intense warmth, but it was different this time, perhaps a semblance of hope, a glimpse of strength. But then, like an eager predator, darkness lashed out at her, feeling colder than before, more desperate. The laughter faded, replaced by a cacophony of whispers. Stay, stay, stay. She fought against the pulling weight of the shadows, her heart pounding fiercely, every muscle in her body clenching in defiance. I want tea. She screamed, but her voice trembled, threatening to crack under the pressure. With effort, her hand stretched toward the light. Just as she thought she might slip from the abyss, it flickered and pulsed, as if alive, guiding her forward. Emily lunged, feeling the very fabric of her reality tear around her. The shadows screamed, their high-pitched wails clawing at her sanity. You'll regret this. You cannot escape. In that moment, something changed. A profound chill swept through her as the light expanded, casting the obscured shapes over a wide area. The figures of children appeared distorted and grotesque, their faces twisted in pain and longing. They reached for her with skeletal hands. A wave of sorrow washed over Emily. These were souls unable to break their chains. Come back. You can't save them. One child, with hollow eyes and a raspy voice, looked hopeful yet achingly bereft. His hand extended toward her in a futile attempt to draw her back into the shadowy fold. Tears brimmed in her eyes. Emily fought the urge to reach out to the tormented souls. What if she could help them? What if saving them meant anchoring herself in despair? No. She shouted, breaking the moment. Energy surged through her, and she pulled herself back, heart racing. She couldn't linger. Not now. Not ever. The light began to hum and vibrate, illuminating the labyrinth of darkness around her. It revealed glimpses of walls embedded with memories, echoes of laughter from happier times, snapshots of distant dreams, and frightening shadows still lurking at every corner. Suddenly, she was yanked back. Something cold and clammy wrapped around her wrist, dragging her lower. You belong with us, the soft voice cooed, a familiar yet twisted version of a long-lost friend. We're waiting, Emily. There was an urgency mounting. She felt the warmth of the locket grow cooler, dulling her spirit. The faces around her twisted with longing and torment, agony glimmering in their eyes as they beckoned her back, an undercurrent of despair pulling tighter and tighter. No. She screamed again, this time more defiant. The shadows recoiled. She yanked the locket from her neck, its smooth metal a lifeline. In a surge of desperation, she flung it into the depths of the darkness. No. The chorus screamed, their voices blending into a horrific crescendo. The shadows surged forward, a wall of madness trying to claim her, but she would not be claimed. With every ounce of strength, she bolted toward the light, feeling the shadows claw at her back, frigid fingers grasping at her clothes and skin, desperate for her warmth. All the while, the children's cries echoed in her ears, reverberating memories of a childhood laced with shadows. The light brightened as she leapt toward it, heart pounding with fear and fervor. She raced straight into its welcoming embrace, but suddenly, everything went dark again. Where do you think you're going? A voice hissed, sorrow mingling with menace. In the void, she could sense something immense shifting, unsettling the air around her. Just when she thought peace lay ahead, the void twisted wildly. It was not solid anymore. What awaited her on the other side? All at once, an overwhelming weight pressed against her chest, and Emily braced for what was to come. Would this light lead her to safety, or was it merely a ruse, another deception masking the true horrors that lay ahead? Now, she stood at the precipice, the threshold between freedom and despair. Would she dare to cross it? The darkness swallowed her whole. Emily gasped, the air in her lungs rapidly cooling, becoming thick and suffocating. As she steadied her thoughts, she realized the chilling weight on her chest was an unseen pressure, a force that seemed to whisper secrets too horrible to comprehend. The shadows were closer, swirling like storm clouds ready to unleash their fury. Her heart raced. She blinked, striving to see, but all that surrounded her was that oppressive blackness. It gnawed at her resolve, each breath dragging heavier on her lungs. No, not again, she whispered to herself, willing the light to return, to illuminate this horrific abyss, and then, a flicker. A pulse of brightness surged from the core of the void, drawing her attention. Emily squinted, hoping for clarity, fearing another trick. The darkness seemed to recoil, shivering away from the brief glow. Accepting the risk, she took a hesitant step forward, her foot meeting an uneven surface cold stone, slick with a dampness that felt alive. "Emily." The voice echoed, a haunting melody that twisted her insides. It was the familiar coo from earlier, now layered with anger and sorrow. "Stay with us. You belong here." Shadows writhed, taking on contours of the children she had seen before. They were no longer mere phantoms, they were alive, suffocated, trapped, and yearning. "We can play forever." Her stomach churned. She staggered back, eyes wide. "I don't want to play." The shadows laughed, a cacophony of despair. It enveloped her in a nauseating rush, promising comfort while smothering her spirit. Instinctively, she pressed her hands over her ears, a futile act against the tormenting symphony of wails and whispers. "Help us." The voices pleaded, shifting from luring to desperate. A child's face materialized, soft features marred with pain, blue eyes teeming with tears. "We've waited too long." She shook her head violently. "No. I can't. I want tea." Something in her chest tightened fiercely. She was being pulled between loyalty and survival. Each cry threatened to drag her deeper into the shadows. Memories surged within her, splintering her focus. Images of laughter at the park, her mother's warm embrace, friends cheering at a game, all clouded now, overtaken by the longing of lost souls reaching out, but then, an urgency surged through her, an understanding that to help them could mean her own doom. "I can't stay," she shouted, her voice breaking, trembling with doubt. "Stay." The chorus echoed in a sorrowful rhythm, suffocating, clinging to her. A single child stepped closer, desperation illuminating her hollow eyes. "We're so lonely." "No." Emily roared, and the sudden burst of defiance sent a shockwave through the shadows. For the first time, they faltered. "I will fight you." Before she could react, tendrils of dark matter swept through the air, snagging her arms and legs, wrapping around her fiercely. Panic spread within her, and she kicked and pushed, but their grip only tightened, each pull cold as ice, sapping her strength. The light flickered again, calling her like a siren, yet she was ensnared. Emily recalled the locket she had thrown away, a part of her she now wished to retrieve. "Please," she cried. "Let me go." A chilling laughter answered her, swirling with a malevolence that gnawed at her very core. "You can't go back. You are one of us now." The air crackled as she fought against overwhelming despair. Desperately, she focused inward, dragging forth the warmth buried beneath the looming cold that enveloped her. A flicker of light ignited within, an ember of defiance that refused to die. She would not be just another soul lost to darkness, a puppet entwined in its twisted game. But just as she summoned her resolve, a deeper darkness seeped in, greater than before. It thrummed in her ears, drowning her spirit and suffocating her hope. "Embrace us," the shadows whispered in unison, or be consumed. What choice could she make? Would she find a way to escape from the clutches of this nightmare, or would the darkness finally claim her as its own? Emily's heart pounded, each beat a desperate plea against the flood of shadows tightening around her. The air thickened, wrapping around her lungs, squeezing tighter, just like the tendrils that held her in place. With every ounce of strength she had left, she fought the darkness. The chilling whispers danced mockingly in her ears, pushing her deeper into despair. "Stay with us, just let go." They were gaining ground on her resolve. She squeezed her eyes shut, willing the light back, a tiny ember flickering against the encroaching darkness, but it faltered. Instead, the shadows laughed harder, their dissonant tones blending into a monstrous symphony of grief. Panic knotted in her stomach. "Stop it. Leave me alone." Emily screamed, her voice cracking, lost in the cacophony. The wind around her whipped violently, carrying the continuing wails of despair, pulling at her, threatening to tear her away from her last grasp on reality. The child's face emerged again, the tears now falling like raindrops in a tempest. "Please. We just want to be free." It reached out, a longing so palpable it made Emily's chest ache with a sorrow she couldn't fully comprehend. "Free?" Emily gasped, feeling a counterintuitive pull of sympathy, a grip that threatened to unravel her last defenses. "You're bound to this darkness. I can't allow it to swallow me too." As she recoiled from the child's touch, a blinding flash cut through the shadows, illuminating the darkness with a flicker that felt simultaneously warm and terrifying. The faces twisted in agony, the children merging into a sonorous whole. "You can't hide from us," they chorused, their voices reaffirming the weight of despair pressing onto her. The temperature in the air plummeted. Ice spread through her veins, an all-consuming chill that threatened to freeze her very essence. Emily tore her gaze away from the grotesque disfiguration of their faces. She needed a way out, a way to escape this nightmare. She thought desperately about her locket, the warmth it once held, the memories attached to it. Focus. She urged herself, gathering whatever remnants of strength she could summon. What if she could find a way in? Instead of pushing against the darkness, what if she shifted? Before she could deliberate further, the tendrils binding her seemed to pulse alive and suffocating. In that moment of realization, she whispered, I remember who I am." She took a deep breath, drawing from that memory of comfort, of home. A warmth began to flicker in her chest, stronger now, fighting against the encroaching cold. As she focused on her love for her family, she shouted, "I will not let you keep me." With that declaration, the darkness shook, momentarily staggered. A crack opened, and Emily felt a rush of liberation flood her arms. Her muscles strained against the weight holding her down. The laughter turned to shrieks, echoes of anguish as the shadows writhed and convulsed. But just as the warmth surged to a near unbearable brightness, the shadows retaliated, dark tendrils tightening around her throat. "You cannot resist forever," they taunted, their voices swirling like a tornado. Terror bubbled once more inside her, yet dimmed just slightly by the brightness she conjured. It was a fragile hope, but it was there. Emily needed to find her way to the light. "Help me!" She screamed into the void, her own voice ringing back like a lost echo, and then, a distant sound reached her, the toll of a bell. Its resonant tones seemed to slice through the darkness, and the laughter stopped abruptly. A pause filled the air before a voice, deep and commanding, responded, "Do you wish to be free, or will you succumb?" Emily stood at the precipice of a decision, the darkness swirling violently around her. The weight of both relief and terror grounded her. She could choose escape, but at what cost? Would she embrace the light, risk everything to break free, or would the shadows tear her down forever? Emily felt the swirling shadows tightening around her, the cold tendrils clutching her throat and chest. The echoes of so many lost voices wailed in her ears, and a deep sense of dread threatened to consume her. As she stood between the biting darkness and the flickering light, clarity surged within her, a conviction to fight against despair. "I choose to be free," she shouted, her voice breaking the suffocating silence. The shadows recoiled, surprise mixed with rage coursing through their murky forms. "I want to be one of you." With every ounce of will, she focused on the warmth inside her, remembering the loving embrace of her mother, the laughter of her friends, and the simple joys of life that filled her heart with joy. The glow within her pulsed, battling against the oppressive cold. The shadows shrieked, their voices a discordant symphony of anguish. Ignoring their cries, she pushed forward, drawing from the light that coursed through her veins. "I am strong. I am alive." Each assertion felt like an anchor, pulling her toward hope and safety. Her heart raced, and as she approached the center of the light, it shone brighter, illuminating the landscape of twisted faces, lost and confused. She stepped over the threshold, into the radiant glow that beckoned her. The warmth engulfed her, wrapping around her like a protective blanket, driving back the shadows that had clung to her so closely. With a final scream, they surged forward in a futile attempt to reclaim their prey, but they were met with an explosive wave of light that pushed them back, twisting their features into masks of rage and despair. As the brilliance pulsed, Emily felt the mystifying energy surrounding her lift her feet from the insidious grasp of the darkness. She soared upward, each heartbeat entwining with the glow, pulling her higher from the suffocating depths. She was free. Suddenly, the air thickened, and as she broke through to reality, she fell hard onto the cold tiled floor of the hospital. Gasping for breath, she blinked against the harsh ceiling lights. Disoriented, she scrambled to sit up, heart pounding as she fought to make sense of it all. The familiar smell of antiseptic filled her nostrils as she scanned the room. Was it just a nightmare? The hospital was quiet, the flickering lights an unsettling memory of shadows past. Emily. She turned to see Tom standing in the doorway, wide-eyed and panting. You're back. Relief flooded his expression, but her heart sank as she noticed the guilt in his gaze. I thought you were gone for good. I didn't know how to help. With trembling hands, she clutched the locket hidden in her pocket, the tangible reminder of her mother, now a symbol of her victory against despair. You were right, Tom. It was alive, those souls, they wanted to claim me. Emily's breath hitched as tears streamed down her face. But I fought, and I'm back. Tom rushed forward, wrapping his arms around her in a fierce embrace. And there it was, the warm connection of friendship and humanity that anchored her to the world outside the shadows. We need to tell everyone, she murmured, wiping her tears. They have to know what lies in the dark. As the sun began to rise, casting warm hues of gold through the hospital windows, they stepped together into the hallway, burdened but ready to face the truth. United, they would expose the hidden horrors and bring light to the unspoken stories buried in whispers of pain. Emily held her head high, feeling the weight of the past lift from her shoulders. Together with her friend, they would bring justice to those voices trapped in shadows, bring hope to the lost. Standing at the edge of the world they knew, but forever changed by the abyss they escaped, they took a united step forward, knowing they weren't just survivors but beacons of courage against the dark. Their story would resonate, unraveling the forgotten tales within the haunted walls. This time, a fire of truth burned brightly in their hearts. So, here's the thing, don't let this moment pass. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you won't ever miss the next thrilling stories we'll unveil. Smash that like button now to boost our reach, and flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this chilling conclusion. It's your chance to be part of our community. Join us, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Don't wait even one more second. Your support is what makes this all possible.